Hello, this is Jeremy83 and this is a brand new video on my channel, and it is a prediction video today for the F1 2017 season. So just first things first, I just want to say these are predictions, so these are most likely going to be horrendously wrong, but that will just make it better when I come back and revisit them at the end of the year and realise how mistaken I was. And another thing, I did a Constructors' Championship prediction a few months ago, and these might be slightly contradictory because now I'm doing this after testing has happened, so yeah, they might be a bit different to that one that was done just before the new year. So let's start off by predicting who I think will be the Drivers' Champion for 2017, and that is going to be Lewis Hamilton, primarily for the reason that he's got the best car, and Bottas isn't very good, so that's pretty much it. But I just think Rosberg actually put up a fight to Hamilton. I don't think Bottas is anywhere near as good as Rosberg, and people will realise that as the season goes on, because Hamilton's probably going to walk away with it, much like he did in 2015. And that is why Hamilton is my choice for the 2017 champion. And with that in mind, I'm going to Constructors' Champion, and that is going to be Mercedes, I think. And that's just because they've got the best car, and despite Bottas not being the best, they've still got Lewis Hamilton, and yeah, they're going to be incredibly difficult to beat. I don't think any other team's got the pace or the consistency to match Mercedes, and they're just going to absolutely dominate it as they have done since 2014. And there won't be much of a fight, I don't think, which is unfortunate. So Mercedes are my prediction for the Constructors' Champion. And then driver to get his first win. Now this was an interesting one because it only makes sense to really choose Valtteri Bottas, as he's the only driver in the top three teams who hasn't got a win yet. So Valtteri Bottas is my prediction. I don't think it'll be very quick that he gets his first win. I think it'll be like Hungary, Germany time. It'll be a long way into the season because he just won't be able to outperform Hamilton very often at all, and he'll only really win if Hamilton has problems. And then that takes you on to first podium. This one was pretty difficult as well because everyone really in the top five teams pretty much, there's only three who haven't got podiums yet, which are Ocon, Van Dorn and Hulkenberg. I went for Nico Hulkenberg, who is my personal favourite driver, which is why I'd love to see him get a podium, which I think he deserves after he's got about 4 or 5 fourth places in his career. So he's got close a lot of times but never quite managed it. So yeah, Nico Hulkenberg's my prediction to get his first podium, as I think Renault will make really big strides forward this year. So first pole position then is the next prediction, and once again only there's Bottas and Verstappen are the only drivers in the top three teams who don't have a pole position yet. So I'm going to go for Max Verstappen out of those two, since any time that a driver gets pole that isn't Hamilton, it will be because Hamilton has issues in qualifying, and even then I reckon the Red Bull in qualifying will be quicker than Bottas, because I just really don't rate him at all very much. So yeah, Verstappen is my prediction to get his first pole position, and the driver to get his first points. Now this was a difficult one because there's only 2 drivers on the grid this year who haven't got points yet, and they are Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. The driver to get his first points, I'm going for Esteban Ocon, since I think the Force India will be much better than the Williams, and Lance Stroll will probably just crash in every race, as that's what's been happening so far in testing. Who I think will score this season, don't get me wrong, but Ocon will do it first. And then get on to the surprise of the season, and this one I think will be Kimi Raikkonen, because I really think by the end of last year we saw in Mexico and in Abu Dhabi, maybe not in the race, but in qualifying at least, he out-qualified Sebastian Vettel like basically every week. So I really think Raikkonen has something about him still, even though he's 38 now, I believe, or 37, I'm not quite sure. But I reckon Raikkonen will beat Vettel in the championship this season, and probably he'll get more podiums and maybe even like a win at some point this season if Ferrari get their act together. And a disappointment this season, this was another difficult one to try and predict who's going to be disappointing. Yeah, McLaren were up there, but in the end I decided to go for Toro Rosso, because we've seen from testing so far, I think they've completed the least laps of any team so far. I'm recording this halfway through the second week, just for reference. So Toro Rosso, I just don't think they'd be very good. Carlos Sainz only really carried them up the championship because he got a few good results here and there in a car that really shouldn't have been that high, which is sort of showing why Carlos Sainz is probably one of the stars of the future for me. But never mind that, I reckon Toro Rosso will be pretty disappointing. I'd be surprised if they get any points before like Spain in the championship, because they're just really they've got the best livery on the grid, but it looks like so far they've got one of the worst cars other than Sauber. So it's not looking good for Toro Rosso, and that is why they're my prediction for the disappointment of the season. And then I've got most improved driver, and I've got that down as Jolyon Palmer. He only got 1 point, obviously, and yeah, it wasn't very good at all, but they've retained him for some reason. But I reckon it won't be most improved, as in he's not going to beat Hulkenberg, but I reckon he'll just get a lot of points this year. But yeah, Palmer is my most improved driver. And the most improved team, I'm going to go for Haas, because I really think that Haas can make strides forward this year. We've seen they've got a much more exciting lineup than last year, as Gutierrez is just terrible and Magnussen's actually alright. And Grosjean is still very good. And we saw since their Australia and Bahrain getting 6th and 5th, they never really did much else last season. They got a few points. I think their best finish after their first 2 races was 8th, I believe. And yeah, I reckon they'll jump above like Toro Rosso, McLaren, maybe even Williams if Williams don't hook it up too much. So I reckon Haas will be my most improved team. That brings me to the end of the main predictions, but I've just got one more to go, and that is a wildcard prediction, which is just something that I'm going to put out there, and if it comes true, I want a medal, which is, I reckon, halfway through the season that Kvyat will be kicked out of Red Bull, and they'll replace him with Pierre Gasly, who of course I do a career mode with in F1 2016, go and check that out. But yeah, I reckon Gasly will replace Danny Kvyat halfway through the season this year, as Kvyat just won't match Sainz at all, and that'll become even more clear in a slower car, because Sainz will still get the odd point here and there, whereas Kvyat I don't think will get any points until maybe even Austria and Silverstone. I don't think he'll get any points, and then eventually he'll be kicked out of the team. So that is a very outlandish prediction, I believe. So yeah, that's going to be the end of my prediction video. If you liked it, then leave a like, comment what you think about my predictions, if you agree or disagree. And this is Enjoy 183, and I will see you next time.